Hey folks, Prepper Princess. Okay, so everybody out there, including Dave Ramsey and preppers, always say that you should eat rice and beans. With Dave Ramsey, it's more of a metaphor to eat as cheaply as possible so that you can either get out of debt or accumulate some wealth. For preppers, they say that it's good to store rice and beans so that you'll have a complete dietary supplement in case of any sort of natural event. What I do is I buy everything in bulk, including my beans and rice. It is a huge portion of Rocky's homemade dog food, but I also eat it myself. I've got some black turtle beans, and I want to go over a whole bunch of different recipes with you guys that use rice or beans as one of the main components of the meal. When they say eat rice and beans, it doesn't mean everything has to be rice and beans, because that would be extremely bland and extremely boring. But if you can substitute meat with beans, or you can substitute some sort of base with rice, this is going to save you a whole lot of money in the long term. When it comes to prepping, yes, you should have rice and beans on hand, but it's not going to be a complete dietary supplement. It lacks vitamin C, and it's a really bad way to get scurvy if you're just going to be living off of rice and beans. So if you're watching this and you're a prepper, you should also have oranges, red bell peppers, things that have a large amount of vitamin C so that you won't get scurvy. Just a little bit of a little tip there. So what I'm going to do is tonight we're going to make bean cheese burritos. Bean rice and cheese burritos. So what you can do, super cheap, you can just go get a rice-a-roni. I just happen to have one of these things on hand because my grandma gave it to me. So it's getting ready to expire, so I'm going to go ahead and use it right now. This has red bell peppers and corn in it and quinoa, so that's going to be a good little plus. But for the beans part, I'm trying not to step on my dog. I'm just going to use a crock pot. So the best ways to cook, of course, are with a solar oven. That's the best possible way to cook. I'm just going to do 2 little handfuls, maybe 3, so I can make some extra recipes. But the best way to cook is with a solar oven. The second best way to cook is with a toaster oven. The third best way to cook is with a regular oven. But if you want to save energy while making beans, instead of having to just watch the beans cook on the stove, you can do it in a crock pot, and that's just sort of a set it and forget it type thing. The amount of water doesn't really matter. You do want to get a good amount, but it's not really a big deal exactly how much. And so I'm just going to set this in the crock pot, sit it here on low heat. Can be for about 3 to 4 hours. And then we will come back and we're going to make ourselves some rice, bean, and cheese burritos. So I'll see you in a few hours. Hey guys, okay, so really quick while we're waiting, a lot of people have been asking about the light behind me. It's not a light, it is a bug zapper from Calm Life. This thing is like the quietest, easiest thing to set up, and it's really cool because the bugs come out in this tray, and I can just take this tray out and feed it to the chickens. So it's very pretty, and I'm sure a lot of people thought it was just like a beautiful light in the background, but no, it's a bug zapper. They come into my window right here, and then the bugs were just like, I usually use this light right here at nighttime, and they kept going into the light and just driving me nuts. So Calm Life contacted me, asked me if I wanted the bug zapper. I said, sure, no problem. And it's probably like the coolest thing that I've gotten in a long time, so I'll leave the link in the description. So let's go ahead and get back. It's been about 3 hours with the beans, so we're going to go ahead and make our burritos. Remember, a rice and beans based diet doesn't have to be just rice and beans, but there's a lot of different things that you can do with it. So, and it's like super cheap. I think if you make your own burritos, it comes out to like 45 cents if you buy the beans and rice in bulk. So we'll get back to it. Okay guys, so it's been about 3 hours and the beans have been in my crock pot. I literally just turned it off. And to give you guys a quick little brag, the lid to my crock pot fell off. Ow, it's hot. And I repaired it with a lawnmower part. That came off of a lawnmower. I have a lawnmower crock pot. Anywho, it works way better than the original, so I'm super happy about it. So first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and take out the beans, and we're just going to drain them and rinse them because it'll cool them down a little bit. And it'll get rid of all the bean juice. Some people like to save their bean juice and make bean broth, but I'm not a fan of bean broth. And just for the purposes of this video, because it's too hot to put in a container right now to put into my garden, I'm just going to rinse them off. But you guys can also take the broth and put it into your garden, and it'll help fertilize the garden. It'll add little nutrients to the soil. So we just take the baked beans. These are black turtle beans. And then we're going to put them in the food processor. And this is how we turn it into sort of kind of like a consistency of refried beans. If you don't want to go to the trouble of putting it in a crock pot and cooking it, you can just purchase refried beans and it works just as good. So I'm going to put this in here for a minute, and while I'm doing that, like I said, it's rice and beans base. It doesn't mean everything. So what I'm going to do, I've got a little bit of an onion left, and I've got some cheese that I'm going to grate up. This is usually a treat for Rocky, so I'm going to grate some cheese and chop up some onion while that thing's doing its thing. So, be right back. Okay guys, and we are back. So we've got our tortilla, we've got 2 of them. All right, I'm just making 2, but there's going to be plenty of leftovers. We've got the cheese, a little bit of chopped up onion right there, and then we've got our bowl of rice. You can make it in rice-a-roni, or you can use whatever it was that I just used that I've never used before. But if you find that this is the bean consistency is a little too hard, you can add a little bit of olive oil. That might help with a little bit of flavoring too, but I like mine just plain. And it comes out, because they're black beans, looking almost purple. So as you can see. And then if you spread it around a little bit, it just makes it a little easier. Because it helps so that you can fit the rice and the cheese on there too. So we've got that. So there's our beans. Here's some of our flavored rice, and you can do regular rice, but it makes for a really bland flavor. So I do like using Spanish rice. This rice I've never used before, but it looks and smells amazing, so that's a good thing. Then I've got some of the onion, some of the cheese, and just for giggles, we're going to go ahead and put on some sour cream. Do a dollop, just a dollop. Do a dollop, do a dollop. Daisy. Sorry, didn't mean to sing. Okay. So we're gonna make ourselves. These are gonna be some thick burritos because I got the smaller shells, which probably wasn't the best of ideas. But there's one. Then we're gonna do 2 beans. And I've got enough beans in here and rice and cheese and onion and all that stuff for at least 2 more burritos. So these are also going to be my lunch for tomorrow. I'm not even going to bother spreading the beans this time. A little bit. And there's plenty of rice. There's enough rice for 5 more burritos. So I could just cook a few more beans and make a whole lot of burritos. I love me some sour cream. Okay, we're going to give ourselves a couple of minutes to let this cool down a bit. And then we're going to go and have ourselves some sloppy burritos. I might have to eat it with a fork and a knife, but I'm okay with that. So, see you in a minute. Okay guys, so we've got our burritos here and they've cooled off a bit. I will admit I did not wrap them that great, but the beans could have used a little bit of flavoring this time. Maybe some salt and pepper because it does taste a little bit bland until you get down to the onions and the rice and the cheese and the sour cream. But when Dave Ramsey talks about eating a rice and beans diet, he's really just talking about eating really cheap food. And when preppers talk about storing rice and beans, that's because they pretty much store forever and they will really fill you up. So if you can make any type of meal using rice and beans as either the main course or the base of the meal, it's going to extend your more expensive ingredients further. That way it saves you money in the long run. And I'm going to go ahead and make some more burritos, and I'm going to have these for lunch tomorrow because these are really, really good. If you guys are interested in me continuing to show more meals using rice and beans or leftover things in the kitchen, there's always super, super cheap things like lentils, potatoes, carrots, onion. Those are pretty much the cheapest foods that you can get, and they're so versatile. You can make a million different meals with each one of them. So I hope that this idea helped. Do what you can with what you've got. Prepper Princess out.